Welcome back to Blockchain Pill. My name is Alex, and today we have a podcast with one of the leading decentralized exchanges on the Internet Computer Protocol. Of course, I'm talking about KongSwap. We're going to find out what they're planning to do in the future, what are some cool updates that they have, and we're going to meet some of the team members of Kong. This is a sponsored podcast. Guys, thank you very much for sponsoring this episode, and welcome back to the show. How are you guys doing?
Good. How about you?
Doing good, thanks.
It's been almost 1 year since I've had you guys back here. Shout out to Aaron. This time he's not here, but we've got a legend, Shill Gates, here with us in the room. I want to start with giving you guys the opportunity to introduce yourselves to the Blockchain Pill community. Tell us a little bit about yourselves and how you got to build KongSwap. And let's start with Gorazd.
Yeah, so I've been building on the IC now for, I think, almost close to 3 years. So started with Helix markets, and then also became one of the core contributors of KongSwap. That was kind of my journey in the IC. So been here for most of the time. I'd say 75% of IC being live.
Yeah, that is true. So before KongSwap, you worked on Helix markets, and then you decided, you know what, let's take it a step further, and you started KongSwap. And Shill Gates, the legend. How's it going? Welcome to the show. This is actually the first recorded call that we have. Well, we have a cabal group that we usually talk in, but this time is going to be the first time we officially talk. So welcome to the show. Tell our viewers a little bit about who you are and how you guys got together to building KongSwap.
Yeah, so I'm Shill. Most of you would know me from Windows 98. So I've been working on the IC a little over 2 years now. Like I said, I kind of started off with Windows 98 and ran into Gorazd here with Helix. And, I saw what they were working with Kong, and they were looking for a front-end guy. And we ended up linking up, and we've been here some months later ever since.
Yeah. And for how long has KongSwap been active?
I think
November,
we went live in November.
Okay, so it's only been like 6 months, and KongSwap is one of the most established DEXs on the Internet Computer Protocol. And really, I want to congratulate you guys for the amount of work and updates that you guys keep putting out. And I want to give a big shout out to Aaron, who's not here with us today, but KongSwap is one of the projects that is communicating better than most SNS projects on the Internet Computer Protocol. So shout out to all of the KongSwap team. You guys are doing an amazing job.
Thank you.
I want to dive into what you guys have been preparing, and what you guys are going to do later down the line. But before we do that, I want to address a question, because ICP is known for many things, like being able to host everything on the blockchain, for its extremely fast transaction speeds, for the very, very low cost of transactions, for cross-chain functionality, and so on and so forth. But it's not really known, at least not currently, as a DeFi powerhouse. So why did you guys decide to build a product like KongSwap on ICP as opposed to building it on Solana or Sui or Ethereum or other more established DeFi ecosystems out there?
I think one of the main reasons was just because it's really nice to build. I mean, it's got, you'll hear that for a lot of people, there is like a learning curve to the IC, which you have to go through. And after that, learning curve, which takes about anywhere 3 to 6 months, then you understand the protocol, and you understand that you can literally build very nice end-to-end applications, both back-end and front-end, running on chain. And it's a really nice stack if you want to have kind of everything in one package. Like we have our full deployment, running through canisters, governed by a DAO. So that's really nice. On other chains, you would need to have some part of the stack running on Web 2 applications, at least for the front end. Usually the back end runs on chain, on the ledger, and then you would have some sort of an indexer to go along with that, and then for hosting of the front end, like a different solution on Google Cloud, AWS, whatever. But we can do it just in one go, which makes kind of, for super efficient development, we can really go fast, churn out a lot of updates, and yeah, it's fun to build. Basically, it's like we can build a lot of product pretty fast and ship it fast, test everything. So yeah, that was kind of nice about the IC.
And the question that everybody, especially from outside the Internet Computer Protocol, is going to ask, okay, why does it matter that it's fully on chain? So what can you tell those people?
At the end of the day, it's literally doesn't really matter. It's all on chain. I mean, it's a benefit, but it's really like, there was this saying in the beginning that the internet computer is challenging the way we kind of develop software applications. So it's really about the end-to-end building of an application on just one single blockchain and using smart contracts on that blockchain to run the whole application. And even if you look at it from a cycle consumption or cost, like comparatively, it's so much cheaper to run your application on chain than it is, via a traditional stack. It's not even close. So, I mean, I think once people discover kind of all these nice utilities of IC, you don't even have to build your whole application on the IC. You can just build your front end of your application and host the back end somewhere else. But it does offer like a very good competitor to like an AWS or Google Cloud.
And I think that the crypto world is going to end up to everybody caring about stuff being fully on chain, because we see, giants like Coinbase saying that, on chain is a new online and stuff like that. But everybody else is so much, further away from the line compared to Dfinity that, it's probably going to take a few years for them to really start pushing this on-chain narrative. And I think that's where the Internet Computer Protocol is going to really start shining. Shill, I am a little bit disappointed that you don't have a camera. I actually wish you had a gorilla mask on. I think that would have been very flavorful, and that would have pissed a lot of people off as well.
They tell me I got a face for radio.
What?
They tell me I got a face for radio.
You have a what?
A face for radio.
I don't understand. Next time you should have a gorilla mask on.
Yeah, I was thinking
Let's get back.
Like one of them rubber dog heads.
Yeah, any type of mask I think would have worked. I've heard that you guys have a really cool integration coming up, which is I think gonna use the ICP's Chain Fusion technology, and I'm talking about a Solana integration. And my question is, why Solana, and what will this mean for the KongSwap users?
I'd say probably the main reason we went with Solana was because that's just where the users are, to where the liquidity's at. And one of the main things we want to do is make it easier for those users to use stuff on the IC and get access to different tokens or services in the IC itself.
Yeah, I think like Shill said, Solana is where currently there is a lot of users and liquidity. So, and the other aspect of Solana, it's also really fast as a chain. So it settles like, I think 0.2 of a second block time. And what that means for us is that basically with the Solana integration, we don't lose performance on KongSwap. So for a user, pretty much a transfer will be similar to what they have now. So we've been clocking some of the transfers that we've been doing on testnet. It's around 10 seconds. So kind of from a user experience, it won't change that much. Like if you compare it to a native Bitcoin integration, like you have to wait about 10 minutes for anything to happen, right? So Solana will be, close to whatever everybody's used to now. And I think one thing that we've already noticed is, so Shill didn't mention, but we do have now a set of Solana wallets. So we have Phantom, we have Soulflare, and recently Wallet Connect. So that, will benefit kind of Kong, but also the IC ecosystem as a whole. So because it exposes the ecosystem to a whole new subset of users. So for us, once we kind of spun up those wallets, our user numbers jumped by about 12,000 people instantly. So it's kind of once they're able to trade, Sol tokens, but then they'll also be able to discover more of the IC DeFi along the way.
And how would this, it sounds amazing, but how would this look like? So for example, I have my Phantom wallet. I would be able to connect to KongSwap and trade Sol tokens, or would I be able to use my Sol to buy ICP tokens? So how exactly would that look like?
Yeah, exactly. as you described. So for you as the end user, you won't feel any kind of different chain. I need to do different stuff. I need to change the RPC. I need to do whatever. So basically, you will just log into Kong. You will select your Solana token, your Trump or whatever token, and you can sell it against ICP or against Kong, and it will execute a transaction via our LP that we'll have, which will be probably like Solana versus ICP or Solana versus CKUSDT, something like that. And that will settle basically on both chains in about 10 seconds.
That is super cool. And I think a future where you won't care about the blockchain that you're on, I think that's a good future for crypto, because right now, if you're a noob in crypto, if you don't really know a lot of stuff in crypto, you need to explain to somebody, yeah, you have ETH, but you actually need that ETH to be on AVAX. So how do I swap it to AVAX? Well, you need to get it to Binance and then, bridge it and whatever. So it's super complicated right now. And I think this concept is called chain abstraction. It's not going to matter, what chain you're on. And this is going to be possible with ICP's Chain Fusion tech.
Yeah, it's already possible. Like this is what we've been building towards. So we just kind of, went away from all this kind of how do we bridge? Do we create a digital twin or not? We said, okay, the technology is there that it can just be Solana. It doesn't have to be a digital twin of Solana. It literally can be the real thing, and then you just settle on both chains. So basically you sell your Solana, to our liquidity pool, and then you get ICP from our liquidity pool on the internet computer. That's
Okay.
basically transactions on two different protocols, but our Canister smart contract manages it.
Very interesting. I think we can make like an entire video about how Chain Fusion works and the fact that the tokens are not wrapped. They're different type of tokens. They're not stuck in a bridge. That's super interesting. Another cool thing that you guys have on KongSwap is a prediction market. And we've seen that in crypto and outside of crypto, this kind of product is extremely popular. People love betting on certain things happening. And I've heard that you guys have a few updates for the prediction markets as well. So do you want to dive a little bit deeper into what you're planning for the prediction markets?
Yeah, so for the prediction markets now, we have a new time weighting system. So previously, it was just like the markets were settled at whatever ratio they ended at. But now there's some incentive for early bettors there. And then we also have users will be able to create their own markets, and they can do this with a few different tokens as well. So there's support for multiple tokens and user created markets.
One thing that I saw on other prediction markets is that you can actually exit your position before the market resolves. Is this something that you guys are planning to implement in this update or in the future?
And this is something for the future. I think it's just kind of with prediction markets, what you do need to know is that, getting the liquidity into the market is the hardest part. So like literally in crypto, there is only one prediction markets platform that is good on liquidity. And they do offer this kind of adjusted AMM model where you can trade in and out of positions with shares. We will look into it in the future, but as Shill mentioned, we went with a time weighting system, which creates sort of like a good amount of fairness throughout the life cycle of the prediction market, where early predictors get much higher share of rewards for the same amount that they pay in as somebody that will try to cheese it and just make a prediction last minute. So basically, like you get almost 2x more of a time weight if you make a prediction early than if somebody makes a prediction late.
One thing that people really love in DeFi and in crypto, as we mentioned earlier, is like the simplicity of it. You don't want to, be overwhelmed by anything in crypto. So how are you guys making KongSwap be as simple as possible for the users? And I think this is for Shill.
Yeah, I guess mainly that's just been trying to keep things familiar. I don't know, I guess when we're making that kind of, looked at Uniswap as like the kind of like flagship there, because that's, what everybody's most familiar with, I'd say. And then just, kind of built from there. We built that wallet sidebar and kind of built that to, represent a wallet. You see all your tokens, your transaction history, your LP pools, everything in there. And, you could access that everywhere too. So it's easy to access all of your stuff wherever you're at.
Does it look as good on mobile as well as it does on desktop?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. What is the recommended wallet that people should use when they go to KongSwap?
For me, I use Oizy and Internet Identity myself. So those are the two I would recommend. Gorazd, what about you?
I mean, I don't know. I test on all of them, to be honest. So I don't like. I think people should just go with what they're comfortable with. We try to offer the same level of support for any wallet, so everything works on every wallet. But I guess at the end of the day, it's like whatever the people have as their primary wallet is what they should use. That's our motto. So if they feel comfortable with a Phantom wallet, or if they feel comfortable with an Oizy, whichever way they want to go, it's yeah.
Inside ICP, I'm gonna confess, after I used Oizy Wallet, I never wanted to use any other wallet. So I log into Oizy Wallet with my internet identity, and then I use Oizy to log into everything. It's just seamless. It moves. It's the fastest one. It moves good. I just love it more than compared. I came from Plug, and Oizy compared to Plug, it's like a world of difference. So everybody, if you're not sure, just go for Oizy Wallet. We covered how you guys are going to integrate with Solana, but I want to get a step back and talk about Chain Fusion tech. Why is it so good, and how are you guys planning to use it in the future? Like what other chains you're planning to integrate in the future?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of pretty straightforward. So we have now the sort of boilerplate code built up that we can be faster in the next integration. So Solana is taking more time just because it's like the first one that we're doing native multi-chain on Kong. I think for the next one we can be much faster. What our plan is, we see there is a lot of appetite for Bitcoin. So also we're building some products in terms of prediction markets, like it's predict earn, it's sort of a one-to-one prediction market where it's like PvP pretty much. But there we see a lot of kind of interest for different types of chains. So Bitcoin is definitely going to be the next one, because we also see a lot of kind of demand that not only ICP versus Bitcoin, but also people might be interested in trading up straight up Solana for Bitcoin. There's also like kind of no good bridge to get to Solana from Solana to Bitcoin without like doing at least 2 to 3 steps. I mean, you do have some wrapped versions, but I think kind of just trading it natively is kind of what people want. And then after that, I don't know, we still haven't cemented the roadmap yet, but we're looking into things like Sui, maybe BNB chain base. So kind of either Ethereum L2 or going with Sui. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, we'll listen to the people, whatever the community wants and the users want, that's what we'll implement.
Of course. And we've seen how incredible the Bitcoin integration was with Odin Fun. You were able to do stuff with Bitcoin that were not possible before, and people were trading, I think, runes, they're called, on Odin Fun in a way that was never possible before. So what type of integration are you guys going to do with Bitcoin that's going to be like the Odin Fun, like integration? Are you guys thinking about something?
Yeah, I mean, for us, like the primary one, kind of the trading use case, we're thinking about kind of making it maybe like Odin Fun-like, so that you would have like a CK wrapper in between so the trade can execute faster, but then we have kind of the minting, unwrapping also built into the swap as well if you want to go straight native. So I think, as you mentioned, for Odin.fun, like if you ever traded runes on a native Bitcoin platform and figuring out the process, you're semi-genius that you were able to accomplish that. And I think it's just kind of the ease at which you were able to do it on Odin.fun was like what made people, ape for it, because, trading runes or sentinels or whatever, just natively on Bitcoin is like really bad experience and very painful to go through.
I think that is one of the reasons why runes, so they appeared, I think a couple of years ago, they appeared, they only stuck around for like a couple of months, and it feels like they vanished. Maybe it was because of how difficult it was, to trade them, or the interface was not, as good. And we're now seeing a resurgence of runes just because the problems, the pain points were fixed, thanks to the ICP tech stack, which is something that a lot of people are not talking about, but I think a lot of people are going to talk about in the future. What is your approach to growing liquidity for KongSwap and attracting new users? Because as you mentioned, this is one of the biggest problems in crypto. It's liquidity, and you want to go to a DEX where you can swap tokens without crazy slippage. So what are you guys planning to do in the future to have to bring this liquidity to KongSwap?
Yeah, I think one of the major things is just to open up to other ecosystems. So like integration with Solana already gives you like a bigger platform of liquidity providers and market makers with which you can work with. So that's definitely one aspect that we're going to explore, to do different liquidity partnerships with market makers or liquidity providers who would then kind of also provide liquidity, not just for the Solana tokens, but maybe also for some ICP pairs that we have, so that we can grow kind of the liquidity base on Kong. I think, one of the challenges that we see now is that, with a kind of a growing ecosystem like the IC, is that, the user base is just not as vast as maybe the one on Solana. So that also limits the potential for being a liquidity provider, which is not to say that, a lot of people do provide liquidity on Kong from the community, but they're just much smaller tickets than what you see on other chains that have, a couple of billion TVL and DeFi, whereas we're sitting at, I think, like around 50 to 100 million, right?
Which is very little. Like, although it sounds like a lot of money, it's little.
Sounds like a lot, but for DeFi, it's not a big number.
And it's also fragmented because there are a few DEXs on ICP, and it's fragmented. On KongSwap, can you guys do you have a portfolio tracker that people can use, like to track all the tokens? Because I have a public wallet that I'm currently tracking on ICP Swap, and for the past 2 or 3 weeks, the button to sort the tokens by value doesn't work. And they didn't fix it in like 2-3 weeks. Not to FUD the project, but I think I'm going to move those tokens over to KongSwap if you can sort.
If you hit the little magnifying glass icon by the wallet, that'll open up a search, and you can just toss the principal in there and it should come up.
So I should do that. I talk the talk and walk the walk, and I will be migrating my tokens I'll take my business to KongSwap away from ICP Swap.
No, Shill's done some amazing work on the Kong analytics. Like, he's being way too modest right now, but there's like so many kind of hidden little features that you'll find on Kong that are extremely useful that maybe we haven't even highlighted them enough. But the portfolio page is one of them. So it's basically either click on your wallet or put your principal in the search field, and then it opens up like whatever your wallet has on Kong. So you will see your whole portfolio, all the liquidity pools. There were like some really neat stats that Shill was coming up with, like, how big your share in the LPs is, or how are you a whale and stuff like that. So there's a lot of little kind of nice features to be discovered.
That is true, and it just looks good. Like, we have here on the stats page, we have overview, we have a bubble maps, to see like the biggest gainers and losers. So there is way more than just a DEX on KongSwap, and it's really something that I love seeing. It's even like combined with like a DEX tools or DEX screeners. You get here at the top, you get all the main tokens, the trending tokens, and all that. And I think Shill, you've done a great job with all the.
Shill, can you mention about the skins as well? I think you have some in the works as well, right?
Oh yeah. So there's some. I guess some people don't know about it yet, but if you hit the settings cog, there's a theme section, and we have some different themes on there. There's just like generic light and dark. Then we have a Windows 98 theme. We have a Dragons theme. And then, if anybody wants to collab on something and, whip up a theme together, get in touch with me, and we'll see what we could do.
I made a post on X asking people, telling them that I'm going to talk to you guys today and asking them whether or not they had any questions for you. Do you guys want to answer some quick fire questions from the community?
Let's do it.
Let's go.
Yeah. I only accepted yes to that question anyway. So let's check them out. We don't have a ton of questions, but one of the questions, Gorazd actually mentioned this. I see Popeye. When are we going to have one-sided liquidity on KongSwap?
Yeah, it is on the roadmap. It's like we're just, it is a big feature and it does impact a lot of things. So, I mean, I know it sounds simple, but, it does kind of change a lot of things in our stable memory structures and how we run pools. And we also want to make sure that, when we roll it out, that it has no negative consequences on the liquidity or maybe some pools being drained or something because, users kind of want to misuse it because it's like basically you can take out a side of the pool. It's not like there's a K anymore. There is like a cutoff point. So yeah, it is, but I don't, to be honest, I think, yeah, it is important, but it's not the most important thing. To be honest, I think the more important thing is that we have good liquidity. And then, single-sided is a benefit, which can enable more traditional market making or tighter spreads around the mid price. It can enable limit orders. Like it can give us a lot of different features, right? But I just don't think it moves the needle that much right now, to be honest.
Back in my day when DeFi appeared in like 2020, you didn't have, single-sided liquidity. Like the only time I ever provided liquidity, it was like half tokens, and the other half was like the main token of the ecosystem. So to me, this is a new thing, single-sided liquidity. But I could see why people want it.
I mean, like you have to think about it from this perspective, right? If you have a liquidity pool that has a total TVL of maybe like $2,000, right? Even if you have single-sided liquidity, you won't do a great trade with $100. Like you'll still have brutal slippage. So at the end of the day, it's about how much liquidity you can put up in a pool versus, if it's single-sided or not. It really manages the slippage. But, at the end of the day, we would I would rather have 100 million in TVL than single-sided liquidity. If you ask me.
That is true. That is true. We have a question from Ishak. He says he wants to know when perps. Are you guys gonna have perps on KongSwap?
We're not actively pursuing perps right now.
So somebody wants to be a degen. So no plans for perps, at least not in the near future.
Yeah, I mean, not in the next 6 months, 6 to 9 months, probably not. No.
Somebody else, and I've seen a few people who want this. He asks a more general question like, are we ever going to have native stables like USDT or USDC on ICP? And is Kong taking any initiatives to doing this? What do you think?
Well, that's not a Kong question.
It's not a Kong question, yeah. It's a more of a general question.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we would like to have more native stables, but again, this deal with Tether or with Circle is not ours to make. I mean, hard for us.
Why do people care about native stablecoins? Why do they want that? I'm curious. I don't know why people want. So I don't hold stables. If I'm holding stables, I'm probably holding it like in dollars or euro. But why do people want stablecoins?
Yeah, I mean, you get pretty close to it with the CKs now. I guess just to have them native. I guess. I mean, I really couldn't tell you. I guess some people might think it might bring in more liquidity. I don't know.
And when we're gonna get the native stable coins, people are gonna be like, okay, when do we have the next thing? So I think people are never gonna be fully satisfied, which is a good thing. It's good to always want more and more and more. The last question we have here from a Clown Wizard, and he says that he's been asking this for ages. When will people be able to set up custom pools? For example, Clown GLDT. So he's one of the clown boys.
So from a technical perspective, it's very difficult to do too many custom pools. So we have decided that we're gonna have less custom pools, but you can basically trade any combination of assets. So I don't know if I'm making complete sense right now, but what I want to say is like we have synthetic swaps, right? So as long as there is a path between the two tokens on our platform, like let's say you have kind of a cross versus ICP or a cross versus USDT, and you have on one side, I don't know, Clown versus ICP, and you want to trade Clown for CK ETH, and there is a CK USDT CK ETH pair, but you also have an ICP and CK USDT pair. You can go from basically Clown to CK ETH in 2 hops, which costs you the same as like one trade. So we split the fees of this trade into kind of 2. So you pay only half for each trade, but synthetically you are able to swap. Now, this is an advantage because on other platforms, you need the LPs, right? So you would need a Clown versus CK ETH liquidity pool to achieve that trade. And that leads to liquidity fragmentation. So on Kong, you can have just one strong pair. You can provide liquidity to that, and like everything it trades against, you'll be able to do so. I think that's a much better approach than to having thousands of micro pools, which maybe don't add that much value to the platform. But if you concentrate it into a few good pools, and then the synthetic swaps do their work. And then the problem why we can't do too many is because it creates a lot of computation on unstable memory. So it might like really blow up the canister at some point if we would have too many permutations, and it would be just like too hard to manage at some point.
I think that is a problem for when we're going to have plenty of liquidity, inside the ICP ecosystem. And then, people can start making those, weird pairs of Clown GLDT and, Clown EXE and so on and so forth. One last question that I have for you guys, looking, 6 to 12 months ahead, what is the biggest milestone that you're aiming for with KongSwap?
I think it's like multi-chain, that we just get multi-chain to work. Mm-hmm. I don't know, Shill, do you see any others?
100 million TVL.
Yeah.
That is a good goal to have. It's just going to be a matter of, attracting the right whales and the right investors. And I think that, so another 100 million TVL to Kong would basically double the already existing TVL on the Internet Computer Protocol. So that's a good goal to have. And hopefully cross-chain and you guys expanding cross-chain is going to be the thing to kickstart the ICP DeFi ecosystem. It's going to be cool.
Yeah, you never know. It doesn't seem like too far-fetched,
Mm-hmm. Especially now, stuff is beginning to start moving. The ICP price held, the low level there. We didn't go, below the bear market lows like many tokens have. So we're as long as we continue in this direction, I think it's going to be a positive, 6 to 12 months for crypto and for ICP, which is going to be exciting.
Yeah,
cool.
Like I always tell everybody, just look, if you've been here 6 months, a year at least, just look back from now compared to what we had then, and there's just so much new stuff all the time now.
That is true. Like ICP now compared to like 2 years ago, it's a completely different thing. Like we only had, I remember when I came to the ICP ecosystem, it was only an NFT marketplace. That was the entire ICP ecosystem, which is
I remember
absolutely
seeing like daily volume of like $40 on ICP swap.
That was crazy, bro. And we are so much further ahead now than we were back then, and it's just a matter of time until the market catches up to that. So we're already like almost 40 minutes in this video. Hopefully it's going to be shorter after they are edited. So to wrap this up, where can listeners go to follow KongSwap, to try out the platform, or to get involved with the KongSwap community?
I think the best thing is just go straight to the app, go to kongswap.io, try it out, play with it, trade, do some predictions. There's like a lot of cool stuff coming up, so it's not just going to be trading and predictions. If you want to reach us on Twitter, it's KongSwapX, and we do have a KongSwap open chat channel as well.
That's cool. And also check out Windoge, the #1 meme on ICP.
We're also on the Windows desktop, yeah.
That is true. And play with the KongSwap skins that Shill made. Otherwise, he worked for nothing. So test those out as well. Have fun. I'm gonna leave all the links here and in the description below and everywhere else. And with that, I think we're done. Do you want to talk about something that we didn't hit in this podcast, or are we good to go?
No, we're good to go, I think.
We're good.
That is perfect. Cool. So guys, thank you very much for tuning in. It was a pleasure to host you guys once again. And maybe we'll talk in another 6 months or 1 year. See what you guys did in the meantime.
Do a prediction market on it on the next blockchain till KongSwap
we
video.
That would be cool. I did a prediction market on KongSwap and I lost.
Soon you'll be able to create your own though.
Yeah.
What?
Soon you'll
The
be able
next
to create your own.
update. Yeah, exactly. You can create your own market, and then from this talk, you can say, "Hey, will KongSwap have 100 million TBL, whatever, in the next 6 months?"
That would be cool. Actually, people being able to submit their own prediction markets, that would be awesome.
That's what we're working towards. Yeah.
So I think I'll do a video on that with maybe with Aaron. Just place a few bets with him. So until then, thank you very much for tuning in, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
Thanks
for having me.
man.